announced executive order domestic terrorist organization, Antifa. That's our primary concern right now.
So where is Antifa headquartered?
What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here. And yes, what you just saw was the beginning of a beatdown, a slapdown, a drag-out fight between a heavyweight contender and a mouse. Representative Bennie G. Thompson. That was ranking member Bennie G. Thompson. Put the smackdown on a sloppy seconds, third or fourth pick, only person who raised his hand to do the dirty job because all the good people have left in the FBI and in Homeland Security. This guy, Michael Glasheen, never heard of him. You wouldn't want to. The reason why you never heard of him is because you saw. That's his answer. He came woefully unprepared. He's not qualified for the job. He's stayed woefully unprepared even after getting the job, which is the problem. What he is the only person they could find to do Trump's bidding and say, I don't care about the law or America in any way. I can just do what you tell me to do, massa. That is who Michael Glasheen is. And he was exposed. Now, if you've only seen the clip, which are indeed hilarious, we're gonna laugh at them. That's why I started with that one. Him looking like Goofy in a mirror, wondering what he's looking at with no answer. But if you've only seen the clips, you may be missing a bit of the nuance. What this guy said beforehand that informed the question asked by the great Bennie Thompson may be more important than the answer. Well, no, the answer makes that more important. So I'm gonna show you some clips that you haven't seen. We're gonna look at the funny ones as well. And then we're gonna go into how stupid he is and ignorant he is and why more than likely he was picked for that reason, because all the smart people with high IQ have left the building a long time ago. This is all you have left, the dog killer and her two pets. And yeah, I meant it that way. They're soon to be on the chopping block too. Watch this. I'll see you afterwards.
Currently, the FBI-led task forces are staffed with over 9,000 federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial partners. Many of these task forces are focused on cartels, violent crime, drug trafficking, child exploitation, and human trafficking across our nation's communities, violent threats against public election officials, personnel, and public corruption. Over the past several years, the FBI has identified a particularly concerning uptick in the radicalization of young people. Radicalization of domestic terrorists most often occurs online, giving individualized direction from foreign terrorist organizations, or FTOs, but are inspired to commit violence by FTOs such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda.
Did you notice that Michael Glasheen was talking about the domestic terrorists who have been indoctrinated, recruited online by foreign terrorists? So that's why Mr. Thompson, ranking member Thompson, asked the question he did. Well, you've named all of the foreign operators, but you just said that they're recruiting domestic terrorists. And so now that you've said that they're here and the dangerous things that they're doing, these are people who are trafficking folks, drugs, and killing public officials, elected public officials. You never gave the name of those people who they're recruiting, those groups, those domestic terrorists. And he didn't just ask about Antifa. Listen to the full question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Glasheen, will you tell me the organizations that pose on the domestic side, two of the organizations, number one, number two, threat to the homeland at this point?
Can you please clarify, like, organizations?
Any domestic terrorist organization.
Can you give me the top two? It wasn't a gotcha. The clips may make it seem like it was a gotcha, a well-deserved one. There would be no problem with that. But the worst part about this question was, he said, "Can you give me the top two?" An actual earnest concern for what the Glasheen guy just said. The underling, the fall guy just said. These people being recruited online to form their own terrorist, domestic terrorism cells that you just told me about. Can you give me two of them? Who are the top two we should be looking at? He wasn't looking for just Antifa. He was wondering, expound on your opening statement, dummy. And that was Glasheen's response. Have you ever seen somebody do a book report to a book they haven't read, but maybe they read the back of it? If the entire whole statement was something that he obviously never even read before. He had so many pauses, didn't even know when to turn the page. This was the fall guy. I didn't know that I was supposed to answer questions about what I just said. What do you mean, domestic terrorism?
Can you please clarify, like organizations?
Any domestic terrorist organization.
Huh? In the context of the people who you say are being radicalized. Who are they? How do you know? Who are the worst? But what it speaks to, YouTube, they're not telling you this on the clip because they're laughing too hard. So that's why it's good to come back the next day and think about this. What it speaks to is, if you remember the last time we had these hearings when it was Biden involved, all of the actual real FBI agents, all of the actual real public servants, whether you like FBI or not, the people who came to the party dressed for success or dressed to impress, the people who actually did a little studying beforehand, all of them told you, yeah, we can give you the name of all the domestic terrorists. Who they are is the Proud Boys, 3%ers. Huh? Who they are is the people raving the same flags as Michael Johnson, the Speaker of the House. People waving the same flags. And all of the militia groups, far right-wing, racist, neo-Nazi terrorists, those were the biggest domestic threats. That's why when Bennie Thompson asked that question, can you give me the top two? He was like, what are you talking about? We don't have any anymore. They're all in ICE. Those people are our friends. Those are our constituents. The domestic terrorism hasn't gone anywhere. They don't exist in this administration because it's a terrorist organization. The government is. We partner with the 3%ers, with the Proud Boys. He didn't have an answer. He was like, what do you mean domestic terrorism? I just got done telling you about ISIS. I just got done telling you about this and that, all these foreigners. When you ask the question, well, what are the top two domestic terrorists? Everyone on that list is now in ICE, or a part of the government, or seen as the good guys. That's why he didn't even know how to answer that question. Watch it again.
Two of the organizations, number one, number two, threat to the homeland at this point.
Can you please clarify, like organizations?
Any domestic terrorist organization.
Domestic terrorism groups? In what respect? What do you mean? We don't have any anymore. I didn't even come prepared with an answer for that because they don't exist anymore. They've stopped researching. They've stopped looking into. They've deputized and voted for and monetized and pardoned and excused and, dare I say, heroized domestic terrorists as a policy. That's why he didn't have an answer, YouTube. That was the craziest part. Now that's nuance. Let's laugh. We're gonna laugh. I'm gonna show you the full clip and just laugh. I'll give you one last piece of nuance before we go. I bet you that you need to know if you're a part of the resistance. Watch this.
Mr. Glasheen, will you tell me the organizations that pose on the domestic side, two of the organizations, number one, number two, threat to the homeland at this point?
Can you please clarify, like organizations?
Any domestic terrorist organization that poses a threat to the homeland as we speak.
I'd say the first one, President Trump had just announced executive order domestic terrorist organization, Antifa. That's our primary concern right now.
All right, that's what President Trump did. What does the FBI say?
We share the same view. When you look at the data right now, you look at the domestic terrorist threat that we're facing. Right now, what I see from my position is that's the most immediate violent threat that we're facing on the domestic side.
So where is Antifa headquartered?
What we're doing right now with the organization.
Where in the United States does Antifa exist?
Yep.
If it's a terrorist organization, and you've identified it as number one.
We are building out the infrastructure right now.
So what does that mean? We trying to get the information. You say Antifa is a terrorist organization. Tell us as a committee, how did you come to that? Where do they exist? How many members do they have in the United States as of right now?
Well, that's very fluid. It's ongoing for us to understand that. The same, no different than Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
No, I don't want you. I'll ask one question, sir. I just want you to tell us. If you said Antifa is the number one domestic terrorist organization operating in the United States, I just need to know where they are, how many people. I don't want a name. I don't want anything like that. Just how many people have you identified with the FBI that Antifa is made of?
Well, the investigations are active.
Sir, you wouldn't come to this committee and say something you can't prove, I know. I know you wouldn't do that. But you did.
He got bitch slapped. I mean, I've never seen it that bad. I mean, of course, this is what happens when you only have the dumbest people left to fill positions that good people have long been gone from. They left immediately. They left at that DEI crap. They were like, you're doing what? You did what executive order? Kash Patel is our leader. I'm out. Kristi Noem is head of the homeland. I'm out. All you have left is dummies, racists, Nazis, idiots, fools. And this guy is the fall guy. So, I promised you last piece of nuance that's going to inform the resistance. It is his word that he used, infrastructure. Well, we're building the infrastructure for it. Number one, what he's saying is, we found a criminal, we need the crime. We know who we want. Anybody who doesn't like Trump is who we want. We just haven't found out a crime that they've done yet. So we're putting the infrastructure in place. We know Antifa's the criminal. Let's find the crime. This is the opposite way that law enforcement or Homeland Security is supposed to work. That's why that was his answer was, well, we just know that they're bad, and we've already identified anyone who doesn't like Christianity, anyone who talks bad about Trump, anyone who says that he's not healthy, blah, blah, blah. All of these things you've seen being rolled out, these memorandums that they're putting out. Well, now if you're gay, or maybe if you just, if you aren't American enough, you don't hold American values. These are things that they've been saying over and over again that they're trying to criminalize. And that's the infrastructure that he's talking about. When Bennie Thompson asked that question, this guy didn't know how to answer it because he's saying, we know the criminal. We've gotten the real answer to that question. We've gotten away from that. Those guys are our friends. They're now in ICE. Whether or not they can read or write or run or do push-ups or pass drug tests. We've gone past that. What we've done now is we've found the criminals. We're making the infrastructure, writing the laws and the memorandums, sending it down so that we can have an infrastructure to give you that answer you're looking for. We're going to find the crimes afterwards. That's where this is headed. That's where you need to know this is headed. And that's why every time you see one of those Truth Central posts, every time you see that on TikTok, and every time you hear about it at your local state house, you speak out about it immediately, like this guy just did, because they can only get away with it if we concede it. If we concede that, yeah, that's necessary. Or, yeah, okay, I understand that you need a little bit more infrastructure to find these terrorists. Which ones? Who are they? Name them. And then you say, what have they done? Your picket sign should say, what was the crime? Maybe it should say, it's not a crime to dissent. Maybe it should say, it's not a crime to not have a religion, or it's not a crime to not be Christian, or it's not a crime to speak out, or it's not a crime to be against Trump. It's not a crime to advocate for democracy. It's not a crime to go against your president with different ideas or have a difference of opinion. It's not even a crime to make fun of your president. All of these things need to be said over and over again, because what they're doing is called manufacturing consent. As well as the illegal law enforcement of naming the criminal before they've done a crime. All of that was in that exchange. And all of that needs to be tackled in your group, how you do it, where you guys are. When you're doing that, when you guys are meeting and finding out what you need to be promoting, remember that. That way of doing things that they're trying to do can only be done with manufactured consent. The question needs to always be asked, who are they, where are they, and what have they done? And the statement needs to always be made. It's not a crime to dissent, laugh, difference of opinion, difference of worship. It's not a crime to ask, debate, protest. These things need to be said over and over and over all the time, because we will not allow them to manufacture the consent that egghead dummy was looking for, that pimple-faced basement dweller who got elected by means of elimination of all decent people, who got selected by unnatural selection because he was a DEI hire, Michael Glasheen. The ultimate DEI hire, low IQ, sloppy seconds, last to get picked on in the line, basement dweller, accidental professional. Don't forget what I'm telling you. We will not allow them to manufacture consent. So tomorrow we fight. There's better news out there. Ground news has very quickly become one of my most prized resources, my go-to even, because I get to find out what stories are not covered by the blind spot feature, which I love. But not just the blind spot feature. Any of these stories that I bring up, I can see what either side is saying about it. I can also see who's paying for those headlines. It tells me who owns the publication, which also lets me know who they're writing it for. Many times, none of that is for us. But understanding the context helps us understand the story. Ground news is absolutely one of, if not the best way to know that you've gotten every side of a story and that there's not enough spin in the world that could have you misinterpret it. Guys, I'm doing something very special for Ukraine. I want you to go down there to the comment section. Ukraine is in need of trucks, and I'm trying to raise some money for them to get trucks in the name of the company or the name of the NGO, non-government organization. It's a charity. It is Car for Ukraine. I did a whole speech about it last time. I'll put up another video, and I don't want to be embarrassed, man. They got all these other people, all these other YouTube stations that are already beating me. Wait a minute. No, they're not. Ever since I put that out yesterday, you guys came through. You guys came through. I'm now number 2. I was number 1 for a minute, and then whoever that is, they became number 1. You guys did it. I knew you could. So it's going on till Christmas. Give a little now, give a little more later. Keep on going. It's going to be on for like 8 weeks, actually. So just give what you can. They're fighting over there. Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war, not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind, the kind that moves. But here's the thing, none of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're gonna pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads, it's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.